It's the RugbyPass Fanzone Lions edition, live from London, with Scotland's Jim Hamilton, England's Andy Goode, Ireland and Lions' Stephen Ferris, Wales and Lions' Adam Jones, and you, the fans.
Well, hello everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Have you got me? Can you hear me? Yes, you can. That's not a great shot for us, Adam, is it, that behind shot? Looking down on the biscuits, it's not. Welcome everyone to RugbyPass Fanzone Live. Yeah. Boom, on cue. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone at home. There's about 3 million people watching at home as well. Ahead of the third British and Irish Lions test in South Africa. It is on. It's 1-1. Yeah, come on, Lions and all that. Lions and all that. We'll get into that. But we're here at Farnham Rugby Club. Yeah, of course. One of the best community rugby clubs in the UK and Ireland. Basically home of that guy. If you've got a road named after you, like Wilkinson, Johnny Wilkinson, what more do you need? But yeah, we're at Farnham. Apparently, a very good vets team. Yeah. Yeah, a very good ladies team. Yeah, a very good minis and juniors section as well. Yeah, am I right in saying that? Yeah. But also the home, again, of Johnny Wilkinson and a mate of mine, Ryan Wilson. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we can talk about him a little bit later. But no, obviously it's fantastic to be here. As you can see, the drone shots of the club here. We're all back out in the open. How good does it feel to be back out and amongst people, having a drink and talking about rugby? It feels absolutely amazing, yeah. It really does. A big welcome from us here at RugbyPass. I'm joined by, well, we're here with 3 rugby legends, and Andy Goode's here as well. Of course. We've got our Wonderwall guest virtually. That's how we've lived our life, obviously, over the last 18 months, is virtually. There's our Wonderwall there. Can you give us a wave if you can hear us?
Nice little father and son combo there with the bald heads on the right.
Of course. I was just looking at the bike on there. Who's on there? Of course, we can get to that. And we've also got LJ, Laura Jane's out in the crowd. Where are you, LJ? Yeah, of course, there you are. And there's going to be some questions for the crowd, ladies and gentlemen. So your best questions, find LJ. There's a bottle of vintage famous grouse on the bar up for grabs, and we will give you the best question. Well, the best question, basically, you'll get the best prize. Can you just turn down, please, if that's okay? But anyway, we're here, Fanzone Live. There we go, the formalities out the way. Let's talk to you first, Adam Jones. Hell of a year. Hell of a year.
Yeah, it's been good.
Well, let's just talk about it first. I had you down with Harlequins, never in doubt winning it. Called it.
I don't know if that's strictly true, is it? I think you guys kind of bagged us from the start, but
Hey, don't put me in the same bracket as that clown over there, mate.
you definitely did. But not well, you know, a few changes, and it's yeah. We managed to pull it from somewhere. And I'm sure you all Quins fans in this club here, aren't you? So no, it was a bonkers year, and yeah, in January I didn't see it coming, but yeah, it was a nice end of the season.
Well, what we can talk about the Christmas party here that kind of sprung into the Harlequins and put them into shape, but we'll come into that. Goody, let's come to you first. Operation this week, how are you?
Well, it was an operation last Friday after the live show on the Thursday night, where I had a big kidney stone taken out, and the lovely doctor decided to...
Let's go back. Kidney stone, or did they tie the gastric band back up?
Both. I think they did both.
Be honest with me, because...
I hope they did both, mate.
They did?
Yeah. He went inside me and had a play, and that was it.
Oh, gosh. And how was it? Because you are sweating profusely, so how was it?
Yeah, it was good. I'm glad to get the pain. Honestly, I had a female doctor that told me kidney stones are worse pain than giving birth. And that's a woman saying that.
Yeah.
So I didn't believe her until I had them. It's basically like I was being stabbed in the back by the missus, and she was also trampling on my right testicle at the same time. So just a normal Saturday night in our household.
Of course it was. Well, we'll get on to that. Stevie, grey T-shirt. That is risky. That means you're confident this evening. Obviously, there's going to not be a lot of sweat, but let's just talk about your news. You weren't with us last week. Week 1, when we were at London Welsh, you called out Courtney Laws as a plodder. So you got a big boo last week. But why weren't you with us last week?
Easy.
Why weren't you with us last week?
Yeah, well, I'm back tonight by popular demand. All the Irish folk got me back in, but last week I didn't make it. I became a father on Tuesday. So my baby daughter arrived in the world, and I knew I couldn't let RugbyPass down for 2 weeks in a row. So jumped on a flight this morning, picked my wife up and my baby girl, brought them home, straight to the airport on a flight here tonight to entertain you. So
What a guy. What a guy.
Good. And the forfeit last week, when we dialed in, was that the baby boy or girl that was going to be born is going to be called Courtney. Is that right? I'm right in saying? As a forfeit. Has that happened or not?
no name yet, Jim. No name.
No, absolutely.
And it's definitely yours? As in, there wouldn't be much hair on the top of the head at the minute.
Well, she's pretty slim, so she's definitely not yours.
Of course. Let's get into it, lads. And ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest. It's been a tour for the purist. It has week 1, obviously, test 1 for the Lions. Fantastic to get the win. Test 2, we're going to get right into the mix of it. There's obviously a lot of changes, but let's just hear and let's have a look at the VT and see what Gats has said ahead of this 3rd test.
Yeah, well, the players obviously very disappointed, but next Saturday is the Cup finals, and that's the way we've got to look at it and prepare, and a few things we've got to tidy up in terms of our game and things, but it's 1-1, and they put a huge amount of emotion into that game, South Africa did, and so so we've got that chance next week to hopefully tie the series up.
Gats is notorious for making changes, and we go again. There's been a lot said about a wounded Springbok. I think the Lions have taken a dent today, and we need to put it right.
Needs to put it right. Andrew, your mic's not working?
I was just going to say...
Oh, yeah, it is working, yeah.
Gats was so positive then, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
He was a real energy giver.
Yeah, exactly, energised. Goody, let's get into it. Obviously, we're all happy to see the tour go ahead, of course, off the back of that. And then going into the 2nd test, we thought it could have been 2-0, and then how quickly it changes, doesn't it? That first half we looked comfortable, but the second half, let's not beat around the bush, we got absolutely hammered in that second half, didn't we? I mean, how did the Springboks turn it around, do you think?
Well, I think, actually, when you look back at the first test, we were 12-3 down at half-time, and then we won the aerial battle in the second half. They lose their discipline, and I think that aerial battle kind of papered over quite a few cracks for the Lions in the first test. Obviously, the Springboks grew into... They'd hardly played any rugby, had they? So they grew into the second test match and the second half. And basically, their forward pack absolutely annihilated them. And, I'm sat here with 3 forwards. And that you sort of say forwards win matches, backs decide by how many. But not in these test series. It's all about the forward pack. And that domination in the second half. Yes, the kicking game was on point from South Africa, but... the set piece, and you boys know more about set piece than, well, not you, Jim, because you couldn't win a line out to save your life. But when you talk to Bomb and people like that about that's what the set piece, the scrum. Trevor Nyakani comes off the bench with the longest, pinkest tongue you've ever seen in your life as well, and they just absolutely hosed us up front. And there was no answer from the Lions. Their attack, they couldn't launch anything in attacks. They couldn't get any ball or possession. Yeah, well,
Steve, let's talk about the forward dominance that the Boks had, because that was the worry. You think about the 2019 World Cup with England in that final, with how dominant South Africa were. We thought, they were. Well, they won it, didn't they? I don't know. Of course they did. Yeah, Savage, it's just speaking truth. Of course, if I was in there, it would have been very different, I'm sure. Stevie, it was. In the second half, it was, wasn't it? I mean, we're looking at the stats here, and that was the worry going into this tour, that did we have enough up front?
Yeah, but I think in the first test, the big game players for the Lions stood up, and the big game players for the South Africans didn't. And then you flip it over to the second test. My Pimpy, who was the World Cup hero in 2019, he came to the fore. He was absolutely brilliant. Sia Khaleesi, who was anonymous in the first test, almost a man-of-the-match performance by him.
Yes.
Then the front row, Malherbe, Mbonambi in the front row, laid down a serious marker. So for me, this week, the big game players, Pollard, will he step up to the plate once more? You would like to think so. He's a £1 million player playing for Montpellier. So, I think the bigger the players to step up to the plate, the better team will have a chance.
Bomber, let's talk to you about the scrum, because we're sat at home watching it, aren't we? And we're like, right, it can't be that difficult. Why is it so difficult to stop the scrums? Do you know what I mean? There is that superficial thing. It's been a tour for the purists, especially with the physicality around it. Mate, you've been in there. You've been at the absolute coalface in 2009. What's it like?
Oh, look, the key guy, like, I don't want to bore everyone about too much technical stuff around the scrum, but the key guy's the hooker for them. If he's not playing, the Lions will dominate the scrum. He's such a good scrummager. Like, Malherb's been average for me. He's been poor. He's, like, it's very hypocritical of me to say he's out of shape, but he's out of shape. But,
In what way is he out of shape? In terms of what we're talking here? Body fat? What we talking?
Hey, hold on a minute. Why are you looking at me, son?
But he's fat. Well, he's big. He's not where he was in 2019. But if we can take Bongi out of the game, I don't mean injure him or like someone sniper him or anything like that. But like if we can take him out of the game, then we can achieve at least parity in the scrum. But he's so key for them. He just drags Kirchhoff. You saw Kirchhoff and Malherbe in the first test with Marks. Average. I won't say terrible, but average. But Bongi goes in the middle, different kettle of fish altogether, and that's what gets the dominance. And then you've got, you'll know this, Fez will know this, Goody not so much, but if Eben Etzebeth has won 8 line-outs at the front of the line-out, and they've mauled, I think 84%, I think the stat said, we have to have a different plan of how to stop it. We didn't contest it, we didn't put anyone up or anything, and I'm sure there's different ways to skin a cat on the line-out, but I think we're going to have a few little tricks, a little cute plays to stop them all somehow, because we can't just give Etzebeth the
And Bob, how much does the second rows play a part in the scrum as well? Obviously, this week they're going for a bigger back row. You had a game Mostarts in the back row, Dieger in the second row. How much of an impact does that have in the scrum as well, having that heavy weight behind you?
Obviously, Dieger's a big guy, but like for me, the South Africa, again, excuse me if I don't want to bore you on the scrums, but they're not technically that good, but they're aggressive. But the hooker is so key to it. It's almost like years ago when Wales used to have a good scrum before my time with Gavin Jenkins was the hooker. We'd have Ben Evans and Darren Morris. Gavin Jenkins was so good. But Bongi's exactly the same. If he's not playing, our line scrum can handle him no problem. The Jaeger doesn't make much difference, but Bongi is so key for them.
I'm amazed. I just thought you bent over and fucking pushed. And it's who could push harder.
Yeah, well, Adam Jones will be at the bar, ladies and gentlemen, later. If anyone who wants to have a scrum down, that's what all you forwards do on the way down. That's exactly what happens. Goody, controversy, let's talk about it. The lead up to last week's test match, Rassie Erasmus, the TMO, the refereeing decisions, Colby's yellow should have been a red in your opinion. I think differently. I think Colby should have been red carded looking back. I know we spoke about it on the podcast, but I think Colby should have been red carded for his tackle, more so on Tom Curry than actually the high ball. What do you think?
I actually quite enjoyed Rassie Erasmus's video, to be fair. It's different, isn't it? And listen, it was too long. It was 62 minutes. I was lay up in bed with kidney stones, so I had the time to watch it. But, obviously he's been pulled across the hot coals now by World Rugby after the series, and there's a disciplinary hearing going to happen. But I looked at it, and we spoke about it last week. It's another form of media, right? So does he have to sit in a press conference and do it? Does he have to speak to a newspaper article and do it? Does he have to do a Zoom call and all the journos are asking questions? He just controlled the narrative. And without a shadow of a doubt, Warren Gatland got the upper hand in the first week by having a massive pop at Marius Jonker. Not so much him, but the fact that World Rugby put a South African in charge of the TMO. The first test, the Lions got the rub of the green. Second test, Rassie Erasmus has done his 62-minute nut job kind of dissection of a game, and they got the calls that went for them and needed them. Without a shadow of a doubt, Cheslin Colby should have been red carded. And that makes a difference in the game. There were other things within that game, but then you look at Duhan van der Merwe. I actually think Duhan van der Merwe, when he gets the yellow card for tripping Cheslin Colby, he hasn't tripped him. He's tried to leather him as hard as he can.
He's South African.
It's a kick.
Say that or not?
So actually, Scottish, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's Scottish South African. But I actually think that, yes, Rassie Erasmus's video did sort of cut between some people enjoyed it and some people really hated it. You heard the reaction then, people were booing. But it was educational, and it made a point for the referees and the TMO. All he wanted to do is get some sort of advantage that Warren Gatland got the week before. And luckily, so far this week, we've not seen anything like that. And we've got a Frenchman in charge, probably because he doesn't understand English, so we're going to struggle.
Yeah, Adam, let's talk to you about it, because you're now a coach, right? And obviously, let's not get into too much detail about the scrum. I know the ladies there, you were loving hearing about the technicalities around it. Of course you were. But you're watching that, and Rassie's one of the best coaches in the business, with the profile, with the platform. Yeah. Are you liking watching him put out clips? Are you learning anything, or do you think it's just a little bit too much?
I guess this day and age, I'm not saying it's normal to have Rassie do that, but I guess that's how it's going. It's not like years ago where Gats would make a comment about the ref or slag off a Scottish second row open to get a penalty or anything you should do. But I think I'm not, like Ian Foster's, is he going to do it? I don't know. Is Dave Rennie going to do it? I don't know. But I think that's Rassie's personality. If you saw a couple of years ago, he did that video with Andre Estesen.
Yeah.
When he, you know, the low tackle.
Yeah, Owen Farrell's tackle.
And then smacked him. And, so he's got a bit of that sort of cheekiness about him. And is it good for the game? I don't know. But honestly, it doesn't bother me. I'm not going to get too worked up if Rassie Erasmus wants to do an hour-long video. And, you know, maybe that's the way the game's going, or that's the world's going at the moment. So, but as you've got to move with the times.
Yeah, well, I was absolutely loving the drama, let's be honest, and I learned so much. If only he was my coach, I tell you what, I would have been a 3-time British and Irish Lion Bomb, I'll tell you that. Don't know why he's laughing. Anyway, a lot of talk around selection, guys. We obviously all have picked ours. Ladies and gentlemen in here, we all had our ideas about who we thought would have played. Here's what Gatlin said ahead of picking the selections this week. Stevie, happy?
Yeah, I think looking at the team sheet, I'm really disappointed in one thing. And the thing I'm most disappointed in is that there isn't an Ulsterman in the test, in the test 23. 4 years ago, Rory Best never made a test. He was in the tour before that, didn't make a test. I really thought that Ian Henderson deserved a shot. I didn't think that Alan Wynne Jones was going to play this game after his performance last week. I know he made 15 tackles. They were all...
I'm with you, Stevie. I'm with you. No, yeah. Sorry, with you, Jonesy. I'm with you, mate.
I'm not saying that he should have been dropped from the 23, but I thought he might have been... Ian Henderson might have leapfrogged into the squad. But in saying that, it's hard to disagree with Gatlin. Gatlin gets it right all the time in the big occasions when it really matters. Baum knows it. He gets it right. So who am I to disagree with him, Jim?
Exactly. Goody, we were chatting about the 10, and I think, was it myself? Did I go for Dan Bigger again this week?
No. You went for your ex-club mate, your very best friend, Owen Farrell.
I did, which was ridiculous of me to think. But he's dropped out the 23 now. You're obviously, believe it or not, Goody played 10. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I know, quite ridiculous. Dan Bigger, we were talking about him in the build-up that he was in our head and shoulders above any other fly half going into the tour. Do you think that Owen Farrell should feel hard done by? His obviously form going into the tour wasn't great, but then look now he's completely dropped out the 23. You know.
Yeah, I think you look at it and there's a lot of people calling for Owen Farrell to play because of his experience, because they say he's a big game player. Well, answer the question: when was the last time Owen Farrell had a big game? Yeah, in the Six Nations, England were poor. He didn't play particularly well. And Dan Bigger, the big stat last week came out that Dan Bigger made 3 passes in the whole game. So, you know, there's chat around Bigger and Owen Farrell are very similar players. You know, you've got Marcus Smith. Finn Russell comes on the bench this week for a point of difference. And that's why Owen Farrell isn't in the squad, because they need to go to the bench to change it. But more importantly, I'm a massive Dan Bigger fan. You know, his wife has very kindly sent me some cakes today, Jim. I was very, very pleased to arrive here, and a present has come from Bigger Bakes. So have a look on Instagram, Bigger Bakes. His missus has sent me a card.
Well, we should say hello to the Bigger family, because they are watching this along with the other 2 million people at home. So hello, how you doing?
So Mrs. Bigger is known as Alex Bigger, and she says, Andy, thanks for all the shout-outs and all the support for Dan. So here's some cakes for you. So I'm going to keep...
Mate, that's the last thing you need.
I know, but listen, if I'm supporting Dan Bigger and I'm getting fed for it, I'm still supporting Dan Bigger. So there we go.
Is there a cake there for me or not, though? You're going to open one? I'll let you open that up.
I don't know whether to share, really.
Oh, gosh, this is what's happening at home.
We've got salted caramel, Biscoff, Nutella, and chocolate orange.
She's trying to end you, that's why. Deep down, she obviously hates you, that's why she's doing that. Adam, let's have a look at the team yourself. Did you have anyone in mind that you thought should have been playing ahead of this? I mean, you've been in the situation before. Like, you were one of the guys that Gatland kept in for the third test in Australia. He makes big calls. Obviously, dropped O'Driscoll. So we're all thinking this week there's going to be some headline calls going into this game. It's obviously a huge game for the Lions in South Africa. No one really thought that they could do it against the champions. Was there anyone that you thought potentially? Did you think Alan Wynne-Jones was questionable or not? Are you just like, no, this guy's in until he's 55 or until he gives up?
Yeah, I think the one in the forwards, I think Wynn's come in, which is, I think, is good. I think Mako come off the bench. I think the scrum second half when Rory was, he struggled a wee bit. Ken probably, I'm a little bit surprised at, but I thought they might have moved Marrow back and put a bigger second row in. Not Henderson, but like a Hill or a Beard. I thought something like that. Nothing against Henderson. I think he's a fantastic player. But I thought they might have moved Marrow back instead of Courtney Laws. But the one big one for me was, I thought they might have gone Farrell at 12. Only because the South African rush defence, do we need another pair of hands to get the ball at least outside it so we can get a little bit of gain line out there? But, Gatt has gone to type, hasn't he? He likes a big 12. He likes Jamie Roberts, Hadley Park, so traditionally. So, I guess it's... And obviously, I'm glad the two Welsh boys are in the Scottish guy. Not so much, I thought Anthony Watson was good, but I thought the two Welsh boys probably need to be in there somewhere.
And that's the big thing. You go back to the first test and the fact that we won that aerial battle, and it was the back three of Duhan van der Merwe, Stuart Hogg at fullback, and obviously Anthony Watson on the other wing. And then that means they get selected for the second test, where actually their frailties were found out. And everyone was questioning why wasn't Liam Williams involved. Josh Adams, top try scorer on tour. When we need tries, you go to that guy. So the changes, we got hosed up front. A lot of the changes are coming in the backs. I love Bundyaki as a 12. He's a ball player as well as a big physical specimen. So he kind of ticks both boxes. But Gats gets his calls generally right, doesn't he? You look at the last tours. We were absolutely hosed in New Zealand in the first test. We win the second, draw the third. So he's got history of knowing how to get the best out of his boys on tour. And hopefully, with the slight tweaks he's made, especially in the back line, we're going to see a much different performance at the weekend. Yeah, of course. Adam, quickly, before we go to our famous Grouse Wonderwall, Maro Itoje, are you believing the hype? Do you see the hype? You've obviously coached against him now. I saw him. All I saw was him getting marched back by Ebenezer Beth. And I don't know if anyone's typed my name on YouTube. I didn't get marched back by Ebenezer Beth. That's all I'm saying. But when you look at Maro Itoje, do you believe the hype? Obviously, test one, he got away with a lot around the breakdown, but he was quiet in the second test. Are we right? I don't know if everyone agrees in here that he is in the top 3 or 4 players in the world. What do you think? What a player! What a player! And first test, he was unreal. Coaching against him, he's a nightmare, especially when there's no crowd. Because you can just hear the noise that comes from him, the clapping, and then I didn't like when Mostert gave him a little push and then he was complaining to the ref. If he's going to clap in someone's face, then if you were playing against a Itoje, you would have banged him out, wouldn't you? Thank you, mate. Well, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I would have. Yeah. Mate, Jim would have tried. Jim would have tried, but he'd have missed. That's the thing. He'd have had thrown a punch and he'd have missed him. Wouldn't you? We go back. My uncle Hamish, Adam said, I'm one of the hardest and best Scots to have ever done it. There we are. He was 20 drinks deep, but I mean, it doesn't matter. I'll take his word as gospel. He's brilliant. He's a brilliant player. He's so good at what he does, and he's world class at what he does. And it's good. I think they'll be better in the maul. You know about mauling. They'll be better in the maul. I think Al needs to be a little bit better in and around there, which he will be. And I think they're the two best guys you can have there. Ian Henderson, fantastic player. I think they're bigger men in the scrum as well. So I think we need those combination. Yeah, absolutely. It's time, ladies and gentlemen. I know you cannot wait. We're going to our Wonder Wall, our famous Grouse Spirit of Rugby Wonder Wall. Give us a wave, everyone, if you can hear us. Yeah, give him a cheer. Go on. Let's get the energy up. Of course, we've got Darren Murray up. This is your cup final. Dan, where are you? There we are. This is it, sir. What question have you got for the 3 legends and Goody in the room here tonight?
Evening. I wanted to ask the panel, are the controversies after the last test bad for the sport, or could they be a positive?
Stevie, I'm looking at these two. They love controversy. They love it. The saying goes, if the Goody's not tweeting, he's eating. Stevie, let's come to you. So easy. It's just too easy, isn't it? You can think about all these sketches all night. Just roll them off. Stevie, the controversy in the game. I'll be honest, right? I'm a millennial. I love drama. I've been loving it. I think it adds to the narrative. Like, we've all got an opinion. I suppose the divisiveness around it is the social media, and it's got nasty. In the last 18 months, we've seen it. It has got nasty. But this build-up that we've seen, obviously the TMO stuff around Yonker with Warren in the first test, then going into the second test with Rassie. Do you like it?
Well, do you know what? Everybody's kind of comparing this Lions tour to the Exeter Harlequins final and saying, oh, why is these two best teams in the world not playing the same brand of rugby that we witnessed in the Gallagher Premiership final? And it's completely different. This is test match rugby. It's compelling. I think it's edge of the seat stuff, even though the ball's not being thrown around everywhere. And it's two really good physical sides going toe to toe, and they're just trying to make the other side make a mistake. And when you make a mistake, you try and capitalise off it. And I've enjoyed it. I think I've really enjoyed it. I think the lead up to the test matches has taken away a little bit from the actual rugby. Rassie Erasmus, for me, the way he's went about that video, I don't think it needs to be put out into the public domain. I think he can do it all behind closed doors, go to World Rugby, air his concerns, get a few things ironed out, and still get his team up to perform. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Everybody else has a different opinion of how you want to do things. I've sat beside Rassie. He's a very nice guy, comes across so well. He loves South Africa. He actually, it was Ireland versus South Africa in Dublin. He was still coaching Munster. And we were doing a gig in Dublin, and he sat there and he says, oh, I just can't wait to go and watch South Africa play. And of course, the South African coach at that stage was in a world of trouble. They'd lost 4 or 5 games in a row, and they lost. And the following week, Rassie was named the coach of South Africa. And he sat and he chatted to me for half an hour about how much he loved the country, how much he wanted to see them do well. And I think by him putting out that video, he genuinely wants things to turn around, and he wants them to get the 50-50 calls. And it worked. So for me, it's I wouldn't have done it, but it's Rassie Erasmus, and he's a box of tricks, isn't he? You don't know what's coming next.
He absolutely is, and he's a box of messages as well. Because Goody, you did an article for RugbyPass, and within 3 minutes of it being published live, and Rassie was mentioning it, he texted you, didn't he? And I've seen the text. I'm telling you now, it's true.
He did, and he basically thanked me just for being level-bellied. Level-bellied or level-headed? I can't work out. He did actually say, thanks for just being level-headed, because I just put out there what he's actually saying. A lot of it was the truth, I thought, and it was educational to fans and players and some coaches. And he's basically doing it for an impact on the referees. Now, I felt very privileged that he messaged me, and I tried to get him on the podcast, and he said no, because Jim's a twat, so he's not coming on.
Well, no, what he did say is I said that he was bitter. I said it was genius and bitter, and then he didn't reply to me again.
Yeah, but, in reality, the fact that we've been talking in the build-up to the first 2 tests about these things, it's been quite exciting. Listen, everyone's been locked up for 18 months. There's no other rugby on until this weekend. I know we get the Bledisloe Cup at the weekend and all that stuff, but the talking points in the week have given us something to talk about. And, Warren Gatland's put a little jibe out this week, hasn't he? He's kind of said that, maybe the Springboks have played their kind of cup final last week. Their emotions, it's very difficult to get back up to that level. So he's set a challenge out for them there. He did it to England and Eddie Jones at the World Cup. After England dominated New Zealand, Warren Gatland said in the press, maybe England have played their cup final, and then Eddie Jones said to Warren Gatland, good luck in the 3rd and 4th place playoff. So Gats knows what he's doing, and he's right with a lot of things that he does, but we love the controversy. We love coaches having a bit of an attitude and want to get out in the press and talk about things, because it gives us things to debate.
Yeah, it gives us something to debate, but I'm sick of talking about referees. I'm sick of talking about head coaches. I want to talk about the players. I want the media to get on top of the players and say how good Bongi's playing, how good Mapimpi's playing, how good Pollard's playing, how good were the lads in the first test. That's all going by the wayside. It's just all about the coaches. It's not the coaches' show here. It's the British and Irish Lions. It's about the players that are there.
I get that, but the rugby's been shite. So we can't really talk about how great they've been.
Well, it hasn't been that shite, has it?
In terms of skill level
not
and
for us.
entertainment.
Not for the purist.
But like Fez alluded to it, like you've got Premiership rugby, and you're not going to be able to play. You have to play Test match rugby, and then you've got Lions rugby. It's like in Australian Rugby League, we've got Club Rugby Australia, and then State of Origin. It's like that.
Bomber, me and you know what it's like.
Well, this is it, isn't it? We
Goody doesn't understand.
We understand it, so it's
Of course. Well, all I'm saying, Goody...
It's like winning those Champions Cups that I won, mate. How many did you win, Stevie?
There we go. You're going to have a press-up off later. Dan, as your swiggy part, I tell you what, mate, you'd best be good at cycling. I don't know anyone who pins the bike up on the wall. You best be good, is all I'm saying. Simon, we've got another question from you next, sir. Where are you? Give us a wave. This is your moment. This is your final.
You know, you're right. So the bench wasn't as effective for the Lions in the second test. How much has that got to do with the Springboks' energy of loading up the forwards off the bench?
Is there a translator in the room?
Yeah, I am. Andrew, I should know about this. He's talking about the power of the benches. I should know about this, but
Bomb squad.
yeah, exactly. The power of the bench. You know what we're talking about, don't you? 20-second wonder. Yeah.
You played about 4 minutes in about 3 Champions Cup
Yeah,
finals.
I did, and we won both of them. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Finisher. Let's have a look at the benches, Goody. There's obviously a lot of talk around South Africa's bench that came on. Lou de Jager just being one of them made a huge difference. What do you see when you look at the two benches comparable? We're going to talk about the head-to-heads later, but it actually stacks, in my opinion, in favour of the Lions this week.
Yeah, I think when you compare the first test to the second test, I think the Springboks got it slightly wrong with how early they made the substitutions. I think a couple of them were because of injury, but you talk about the impact that the Lions boys had off the bench in the first test, and Mako came on and did really well, and those guys. Second test, it was a flip reverse, wasn't it? You know, Nyakani comes off the bench and dominates the scrum. You know, Mostert comes on and gives them that big lift in a line out and second row. And you're looking at the bench now. Mako's brilliant off the bench because he comes on, he shores up a scrum, but also his work rate around the field is good. Carl Sinclair, did he have a nibble? Didn't he have a nibble? I don't think so. He got away with it. He's a ball of energy off the bench as well. So actually, it could be advantage British and Irish Lions off the bench this week because Mornay Staines playing 10, and if he comes on, Lions are winning.
Of course, with all the hysteria in the room, I'm hearing that, LJ, you've got a question, haven't you? It best be bloody good is all I'm saying, because there's a bottle of vintage Famous Grouse.
I've got a couple of questions here, Jim. First one with Ben, whose dad was first-team captain, I'm told, and his brother is current first-team captain.
Hey.
Farnham Rugby Club, is he future captain material? Second team captain. Goody, Ben's question is specifically for you.
Yeah. So we've got a tour organised to Tiverton next week, and we're short of a few key positions.
Kilos, he meant.
Yeah. If we pay for your travel and your beers for the entire weekend, do you fancy propping for us on Friday night?
Got a Lions question now.
Young man, that's why you're playing the second team. Shit chat and shit all over it.
Poor Ben, poor Ben. I am also joined by Jacko, though, who is the women's coach down here, the rowdy bunch joining us here. And you've got a question about what the boys have already talked about this evening.
Yeah, so essentially a lot of the physicality we're talking about the game is where the forwards on forwards, but most of Gatland's changes are in the backs. Why do you think that is?
Adam, is this interesting?
You've stumped him.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is. Like, we got hosed up front, right? So, you know, the easy thing to do when you get hosed up front is blame the backs. It always happens in rugby. I think the changes needed to be made in the back line. I was surprised Duan van der Merwes kept his position, but Ali Price needs to bring energy. Conor Murray had just had a kind of static game last week, so there's that change. In the centres, you know, Chris Harris, cracking bloke, really good defensive player, but we need a bit more. So we need someone like Bundyaki to negate Dialande, but also give us some momentum going forward as well. And obviously the aerial battle was brutal in the second half for us. So Josh Adams and Liam Williams, they're 9 out of 10 players every week. They command the high ball, and they're also deadly on the counter-attack as well. So hopefully the fact that Faf de Klerk's missing, South Africa don't have as good a kicking game with Kobus Reinach, and we get to profit from that.
He is, yes. Thank you, LJ. Well, Faf de Klerk is missing, obviously with Peter Steph de Toy as well. We're going to have a look at the Springboks 15, well, they're 23, which they've picked for this third test. Okay. Adam, I'm going to come to you first, if that's okay. It's just more so I can get the pronunciation right of Faf de Klerk. It's weird that I'm going to come to you, Adam Jones, but there's a number of reasons. One is the hair, but secondly is the coaching against someone like Faf de Klerk. I put a tweet out there saying that the charge downs are coming against Cobus Reinach. Fantastic running 9. How much of a void does Faf de Klerk leave? I mean, the physicality that it brings, but what's he like? I mean, to play against, but also when you're coaching and reviewing him. Well,
it's you know, he's obviously one of the best 9s in the world. His kicking game, but his attack sniping around 9. You haven't seen much of it, but the whole. I know Conor Murray had a bit of a shot in the head the other day, or whatever happened, but his whole game is fantastic. And Reinach's, he's a great attacker, but has he got a kicking game with this guy? I don't know. But I think I thought he was off in the first test with his kicking, and he was better in the second. And that obviously then give South Africa a better platform to certainly dominate the kicking stuff of it. But look, for me, it's a massive loss. Steph de Toy, I don't know. He's obviously amazing, but you lose Mostart, De Jager, and Etzebeth, or one of them, you're down to 2 jumpers again, which is, as you saw in the first half, they struggled. So if we can get one of those injured, perfect. We'll have a whale of a time. Yeah, of course. Goody, let's talk about the kicking game, and obviously Faf de Klerk, Cobus Reinach, Andre Pollard fits into that. I think there was a stat last week going around Dan Biggar passed the ball 3 times in the game. I mean, it is a kicking fest. Do you think with Reinach at 9, do you think with Ali Price at 9, we're going to see a bit more running, or is it just kick as a balls again as high as you can go and just pray that it comes down on your head and you don't knock it on?
Listen, South Africa aren't going to change what they do. The way they play with their big forward pack and their kicking game, territorial, they're knocking up bombs from just outside the 22, trying to win that territorial battle and force a knock-on right by the try line. So their mindset's not going to change because what worked for them so well last week. I think the British and Irish Lions have to change their mindset. When we've looked good in these first 2 tests is actually when we've had some tempo, when we've played with some energy, when we've got 1 or 2 passes away from the breakdown. If we just try and play one-out runners, we're going to get absolutely smashed. So we need those tip-ons. We need to find an edge to attack on. And doing that, that's why Ali Price has come back into the team. So you won't see anything different from South Africa. And I think Jono made the comment last week, you play South Africa, and when plan A isn't working for them, they just go back to plan A and just do it better. And that's just their mindset, whereas I think the British and Irish Lions have got to change a little bit. Get Josh Adams the ball, get Liam Williams the ball in space, and try and play with tempo.
Stevie, me and you are 2 of the most physical players who've ever done it, arguably on the world stage, right? Now, I ain't scared when I'm looking at that South African team. You've obviously played against them in 2009. The way that you played the game, you see Pieter-Steph du Toit, one of the world's best players, well, he is World Player of the Year. Obviously, Lou De Jager comes in the second row, Mostart moves back. Have we got the firepower up front? I know you questioned Courtney Laws before the first test. He obviously played very well. He was quiet in the second test. A lot of the pack went hiding, didn't they, especially in that second half. When you look at it now and you see that someone like Steph du Toit is injured, obviously the makeup that I've just said that changes around, there's not a lot really. Jasper Wiese at number 8 is fairly new. Do you think we've got a chance or not? What would you change around the physical aspect?
No, I definitely think we've got a chance. Of course, we've got a chance. Played fantastically well in the first test. I just think we've got to get into more multi-phase and not make it an arm wrestle and not just try and go head-to-head with them. And if they can do that, get good ball players onto the ball. Bundy Aki is a real handful at 12. The lads can get round the corner, outwork South Africa, keep the ball on the pitch as much as possible. We witnessed 4 or 5 minute scrum resets constantly after half-time. The South Africans trying to take breathers. They just need to keep pace in the game. But yeah, I've been there, Pierre Spies, Juan Smith back 2009, 10, 11, unbelievable physical players. And, we come off second best every single time. And it's about coming up with a game plan. They don't have to start throwing the ball around like a game of sevens. They just need a couple of small line breaks, get in behind the South Africans, get a couple of penalties. And as we all know, it's about momentum shifts in games. And if they can get a bit of momentum at certain stages, then I really fancy them. Last week, it was 18 points that they won the game by. This week, it's a 2-point handicap with the bookies. I think it's going to be really, really tight.
Adam, let's go and talk about penalties, talk about kickers, talk about the South Africa bench with Mornay staying on there. I mean, they've rolled him out, haven't they, for the third test. They're thinking 2009. They're thinking bringing the 50-year-old out there to kick a penalty. What was that like? Let's just go back, because many people who speak about that tour say that second test is the most physical test match anyone has ever played, anyone who's watched live, and anyone who watched it on TV will remember. I mean, what's it like? And just take us through their moments of Mornay staying, taking that kick in 2009, how it felt.
Well, I was in the changing rooms. I had my shoulder put back in because I dislocated it. So and then I was in an ambulance to the hospital. So I was, yeah, it was. And I think myself, Gethin, Tommy Bowe, Jamie Roberts, Brian O'Driscoll. I think it was someone else as well. There was 6 of us coming back in an ambulance. So it was, yeah.
Must have been a pretty big ambulance.
Well done. No, it was. They're obviously physical in there, and you know it's going to come. And but the 09 test, I don't like your former teammate in Sarri's probably shouldn't have been on the field after gouging Fitzgerald in 2 minutes. But it's different. It's a bit different then. It was. You know, the crowd was there, you're in Loftus, it's the atmosphere, you know, you're driving in the bus and they're, you know, throwing stuff at the bus and giving you the 2 fingers and the middle finger. So it's, but I think we can beat them. They're not unbeatable. They're not the All Blacks who are like, I just think we have to get, it's fair to say, you can't go slinging the ball around. We're not, because their defence is so good, that's not going to help. So we have to be cute around them. And I think hopefully Gats has picked the right team, which we'll find out on Sunday, but or Saturday. But it worries me how dominant they were second half when that's the one. Vincent Koch came on, who has been playing the championship for the best part of 18 months, and you know has been okay. And he comes on and destroys the Lions scrum like that. That worries me a little bit. And 3 points, 6 points is massive in this arena.
It is. I tell you what worries me, and I feel awful saying it. And Goody's been getting stuck into me and a few other people. I suppose it doesn't worry me. It's around Alan Wynne-Jones, right? And it's easy for me to sit here and say, he's past it, should he have went, dislocated shoulder, he's come back on, all the hysteria around him. Like, I'm one of the guys that is constantly asking questions, and that's because I uppercutted him in a game once he didn't even flinch, actually broke my hand doing it. So I've got a bit of resentment towards him, but I haven't really. I've got the ultimate respect for the guy. But there has to be questions around, when you look at the age profile of players and you look at players in their position, like, I'm looking at it in a very superficial. You'll think about it in a very emotional way because you've played with him and you know the importance of what he does as a leader. What is he like? Why is he so important to this team?
I don't. The first test I thought he was excellent, and I told you, and obviously Etzebeth and De Jager and Mozart. Second test they were, you know, they got the upper hand. Let's be fair, but I don't see how there's any of those players are better than him. As in Henderson, Hill, Adam Beard, like the leadership he will bring to that team, there's not much there. You know, Ken's there, but you know, it's not. Apart from that, there's not a great. So he's so key to that, and I know he's done. There's so much been said about him coming back from injury or whatnot, and you know, and if you know him, and he's very much like that. But I think he'll come to the occasion where he'll get to a level. You know, I told you he wasn't as good in the second test as he was in the first test, was he? So no. Knowing him, he'll get himself to a level where it's probably going to be his last Lions test match, his 12th Lions test match, and I think we'll see a different performance from him.
But just on that, Jim, the game is so slow. Like, it suits second row. So Courtney Laws in the first test, it was perfect for him because it was just kick chase, wait for a 50-50 ball, truck it up. Yeah, again, like, you could play all the second rows in the back row, and it wouldn't for me it wouldn't matter at the minute the way both game plans are going. So like Itoje at 6, I'd have played Itoje at 6 all day long. It's like playing Mostard at 7. He's a second row, but he's playing at 7. I think it's just so physical and attritional that you could pick all the second rows, couldn't you?
I think with Mostard at 7, he's actually 6, isn't he? They play at least he's the 7, isn't he? I think. Well, Fez made a point. If we go through phases, I think we can tie them out. If we can play tempo, and they haven't got any jacklers, they haven't got any Malcolm Marks when he comes on, obviously Quagga Smith and Van Staden, they're the ones. The first half, if we can knacker these guys out, we've got enough players to do it, because they haven't got any porch threats really, or whatever, you know, jacklers or whatever we want to call it. So we can tie them out, and obviously they've only got 5 forwards on the bench, and they haven't got any, apart from the front row, they haven't got big forwards. So I think the higher the ball in play time is, the better for us. And if we can tempo in the game, then it's going to be good.
That's why he's the Premiership champion winning coach. He's just convinced me that the Lions are winning now. What a legend.
He's also talking about the ball in play. And, Bomber, I don't want to stereotype, but I know that you wanted the ball kicked out every time the ball was in this field of play. So, of course, it's easier said than done. LJ, apparently you got an unbelievable question from the crowd, haven't you? They're absolutely loving it. They want to talk grassroots. They want to talk rugby. What have you got?
I'm in the back of the room with Hui, who has been slagging my shoes off, which I think is a bit rich from a bloke. who's got a ponytail like this.
LJ, it's interesting actually. I've seen so many boat shoes in here. Are we close to the sea here or not? I mean,
Yeah, do you know, I think you're right. It is.
oh, it is, yeah.
Bloody moccasin central back here.
That's your best joke, Jim.
It's just
Right.
breathing money, Andrew.
Who's got a question for you guys?
So we have the best in the world versus versus the best in the home nations. Do you think this is the best advertisement for rugby as a spectacle?
Get that man another
He did
pint.
it. Is this the best advert for rugby? I think we've got to keep in mind, gents. We've got to keep in mind that we've just watched the sevens at the Olympics, which perhaps is the new dawn of rugby. So what's this doing for the global appeal of rugby?
Did he say spectacle or testicle? I couldn't wait to hear what he said off there. But
I think the big question going back to how many pints has he had? I mean, he's been here all day.
That was it. That was his moment, Andrew. He's like, get to the back of the room. I'm going to ask the best question. I am desperate for that whiskey. Jonesy's going. He's going to be fancy dressed. We'll get stuck into him later. We'll get stuck into Jonesy as well. You know, last time he was here Christmas Do, he absolutely trashed the joint and trashed the toilet. Maybe he's going, yeah, it's all right, we've got him. We've got him. Don't worry later. Yeah. Andrew?
I think the big thing about Saturday is if you get up early enough, you can watch the Bledisloe Cup in the morning. So the All Blacks are playing Australia, and they are going to chuck it around like you wouldn't believe. You get to 5 o'clock Saturday evening, and we're going to see a kick fest. But a lot of it is about how South Africa set themselves up as a team. Listen, the spectacle, we all know there's no fans there. The rugby hasn't been great, but it's been engaging in a different way. You know, it's attritional. It's the way South Africa want to play it. And the Lions haven't broken out of their shell to play an attacking game yet. We're all hoping this comes on Saturday. You know, you go back to looking at the warm-up games, and they didn't prepare our test team at all because they were playing against pretty much under 23s. And you knew that any time we touched the ball, we were going to score. So they were 50, 60-point wins. But they didn't prepare us to play against the Springboks and how they play. So is it a great advert for rugby? If you're someone that wants to pick up a ball and get your kids to play, unless they're into kicking and scrums, probably not. But the actual entertainment around the physicality, and rugby's a game for all different sizes and different weathers and different ways to skin a cat, isn't there? So, you know, as a 10 myself, I was terrible at running and kicking. You know, you compare me to someone like Finn Russell or Marcus Smith, poles apart. They're attacking players, but do they fit into Warren Gatland's framework to win a test series? That's the risk the coach has to take, and it's risk-reward. And I think we haven't seen any risk from the Lions yet. Hopefully we see a bit on Saturday and it wins the test.
But just on that, so the Lions have scored 2 tries in the 3 games, 2 against South Africa, 1 against South Africa A. Gregor Townsend has come under no flack whatsoever. He hasn't even been talked about.
But don't bring it back to Scotland again. That's what everyone's saying.
Everyone's
actually saying there's more Scots ever. That's why we're crap this year. But
yeah,
it's not.
exactly.
It's 1-1.
I do blame the Scots, though, because Stuart Hogg's been garbage. Duhan van der Merwe was garbage last week, the South African Scot.
He's South African.
And
so
Gregor Townsend's been in charge of the attack, and we haven't seen it. So just blame Scotland. That's what we always do.
Yeah, I'm a quarter English. Thank you very much. Yes, the accent is from Coventry, just north of the Hebrides. I know you're all struggling to understand that back there. Thank you very much for everyone that's getting in contact online. I've just saw one pop up on screen on YouTube. Jim, you legend. Thank you, Mum. We've got some people tweeting in as well. That's what we do. This is how that we live our lives at the minute. So thanks, everyone. No major surprise there. Now we've just got to bring Finn on to win it. Andrew, just quickly on that tweet, do we see Finn Russell getting on, or is it like the Jim Hamilton thing? If it's unlosable and we're winning by 18 points, 2 minutes to go, we'll send Jim on. Why are you laughing?
It's funny because it's true.
Is that the thing? When do we see Finn at all in this game, unless one bigger gets injured, or if it's like we're 15 points down, it's like, right, we need something?
Yeah, I don't think we see Finn unless Bigger's injured or we're 15 points down. I can't see Warren Gatland wanting to roll the dice that much if it's tight. You know, if we're comfortably ahead or he wants to really turn the screw, say we're 10 points ahead with 20 to go, I still don't think he wants to bring Finn on because you just stick to your process of how you've got to that point in the game. Finn's there to change the game if we're in a bad position, I think. You know, Dan Bigger's a wonderful player, he kicks the corners, he manages the game exceptionally well. He's Warren Gatland's favourite 10 over his tenure as Wales coach, and I think changing a 10 for the sake of it, you only change a 10, I think, personally, is if you need to change the way you're playing, and the 10 on the bench has got a point of difference. Finn has that, but only if we need to change our game plan and up the pace and try and win a game.
Cool. Stevie, let's have a look at some of the other tweets that we've had come in. I've made sure that I've put mine up. Jim Hamilton 4, no, it isn't there just yet. But let's have a look at this, Stevie. Whilst I'm in the main, I support the changes to the team, especially on the bench. Feel for Harris and Watson to be ejected from the 22 when the game plan was not to use their strengths. I'm very good at reading. I tell you now, I'm still struggling as well when I'm trying to read it out loud. Hard pill to swallow. Professional sport. Stevie, we all sat here and we all said, look, let's bring him in, let's drop him. Do you know what I mean? We need to see Lewis Rees-Zammit start. What do you think when you see that? Do you think Gatland's played it safe? Or do you think what he's done before, he's dropped O'Driscoll, he's made big calls around that? I know he dropped you as well, he made a big call.
I think he could have made 10 changes and then everybody would have been happy. But you've got to feel for Watson, like Hamish Watson, Six Nations player of the tournament, really playing solid rugby. Was it all hinged on the yellow card / penalty in the first test? I don't think so. There's other lads there. Lewis Rees-Zammit on the wing. I think he deserved a chance. But the boys that he's brought in, Josh Adams, specifically Josh Adams and Bundy Aki, for me, they were playing the best rugby before getting into the first test, and they were really unfortunate to miss out. But you got to feel for some of the lads that are making up the numbers. I know I've mentioned Ian Henderson. Back in the previous tours, it was tough, but at least you could go out, have a few beers, socialise, go to the local townships, go to the local rugby clubs, mix in amongst all the locals. And the sea of red, 50, 60,000 that travelled over from the British and Irish Isles. They can't do that. They're in their hotel room. Conor Murray's opening his door for people to come in and play FIFA. That's the highlight of their day, and it's so tough mentally and physically because the boys are training their socks off every single day. But it's all going to come down to one test. It's one each, and we'll see what happens.
Of course, I tell you what, I'll be desperate just to go and sit in a hotel if I'm there with the Lions. I wish I was. Stevie, just quickly, the loose heads one there. Sam Simmons hasn't played, hasn't had huge opportunity. I saw an extra Chiefs. Yeah, we did. Yes, there he is. I saw him just behind me. Sam Simmons, we're looking for something off the bench. Has he had enough game time? This is a ridiculous thing to say, but I've got to say it. Is he big enough coming off the bench?
Yeah, I think he is big enough. What an unbelievable athlete. He's just got bags of pace, record try score in the Gallagher Premiership. Really good footwork before contact. He can offload the ball. He's not scared to go for an offload. I think he's a real asset to have on the bench. I know you're a big fan of him, Goody. You've watched a hell of a lot more of him than I have. But yeah, do you know what? Just pick your best players. And for me, he's better than Toby Faletau. So I'm glad he's in the squad.
Eddie Jones is watching as well. You hear that, Eddie?
Pick him, Eddie.
Are you okay,
Eddie's not
Eddie?
okay. He's not. He's lost all his coaching team. He's not okay at the minute. He's not. LJ, we've got another question, haven't we? Someone's cup final back there as well.
Over your other shoulder, Jim. I'm over here in the corner with Dec, who informs me he plays for the first team. Very important detail. Dec, what's your question for the boys?
Who's the hardest South African you played against and why? And Jim, I know it's Evan Epsworth, but we'll see.
You actually said, I know that Evan Epsworth bitch slapped you, was your exact words, Dec. But you've chickened out of saying that to him now.
Nearly. He's shaking like a leaf. I'm looking at him. He's shaking like a leaf. That's what Evan was like when I grabbed him and pushed him.
I thought you hid behind your Scottish teammate, didn't you?
I don't know what happened. I don't know what he's had his moment now, LJ. Let me just answer the question. So if anyone who's not seeing it, type in Jim Hamilton. This is the thing. I've got a 10-year-old son now, so I've been telling him for 10 years. Actually longer. I was telling him when he was in the womb that his dad is an absolute legend, right? And his mates are saying, getting stopped in the street, Big Jim, you're a legend. They're not, but basically I'm telling him they are. And he's at the age now of going on YouTube, right? Oh, go and look at me dad. He said he's an absolute legend. Jim Hamilton. The first thing that comes up is rugby's biggest thugs. And it's like... Do you know what I mean? It's a thing, though. The thing with me and Eben Etzebeth is on there, and the story goes, I won't go into too much detail because it's about these lads on the Lions, but Eben, is a guy who likes to grab shirts. I like to grab shirts as well, but I kind of grabbed him and pushed him and let go, and he felt the power of the single arm press. He did, and he went flying back into the stands. He'd rolled over the advertising boards. And we're playing South Africa in Nelspruit when Heineke Meyer was the head coach. I mean, there was a lot of emotion there. Heineke was crying in the anthem. I'm crying in the anthem. Eben, as he runs past me to a four-man line-out, kicks me in the back of the leg and he says, you shit, bro. I've turned around and said, I know, like that. And he said it again in the line-out, so I've grabbed him and I think I've got one over him. And he's over in the advertising stands. I've ripped a pint off someone in the crowd and chopped it. Referees come over and yellow card me. The first time Scotland were beating South Africa ever. 13 points to 6 in South Africa. It was close. We lost by about 40 points anyway off the back of that. And it was all to do with me. But it was a stat. And thank you very much. It is my legacy to my children. Jim Hamilton.
So, Jim, just on that, you were crying in the anthems because you were Scottish, or you weren't good enough to play for England?
I was lost. I was lost. I'm in South Africa with the Scots. I'm like, am I in the right place? I was just praying to keep it under 50. I was thinking, if we can keep it under 50 points, we are out tonight in Knelsborough. Hell of a night. It was 47, so we were out. Anyway, thank you for the question. We're going to go straight to the Wonder Wall now. And we've got Rory. Rory, this is your cup final. Rory, give us a wave. Where are you?
It's Gareth Thomas.
Hello. There we go. Rory, Andy, do you want to say anything? Have you got someone that you could recommend him?
Yeah, I think Rory's a little bit old, but you can definitely sort a hairpiece out for that one, sir. Mine's looking pretty good here now.
We can sort that out. Maybe a free one tonight. If the question's good, Goody's going to sort you out with a freebie. What's your question, sir?
Marvellous. Good evening, guys. Does Gatland do any more tours as a Lions coach? And if not, who will be next in line? Someone from Britain, maybe, or more importantly, Ireland?
Oh, Warren Gatland, is it his last tour? We were just chatting before the show, weren't we, Bomber, saying, mate, if you can avoid relegation, sorry, not relegation with Quins, no, sorry. If you can win Europe with Quins, you got a shot. Do you think Gatland's got another one in him? I mean, he does look like, again, it's easy to sit there and look at press conferences.
LJ Root.
The build-up, right, has been a tough build-up for him. He is the GOAT. He's the go-at, the best to have ever done it. Let's be honest, in terms of British and Irish Lions history. It seems like he might be on his last legs because of the stress maybe of this tour. Like, you know, he's been drinking, eating, he's been comfortable, but I mean, how is he? Like, what are you hearing about him?
Well, he does like to drink and he likes to eat, to be fair to him. In COVID or not. I think it'll be his last one. I think, there's not many people who, like, I can't think of anyone who's the automatic who's going to be the next Lions coach, though.
Would you like to see someone, a British or an Irishman, coming into it?
I think I can't see Eddie Jones doing it. I can't, obviously, Pivac's there. Gregor Townsend, maybe. Farrell. Andy Farrell.
I think Farrell's the big
Ronan O'Gara. Keep ball alive.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean, like with
well, he is in La Rochelle with the biggest team ever to play rugby, and so you know it's not too. But I think definitely a British or Irish coach. I definitely think I should be next scrum coach. I'll put myself out there now for it now in 4 years' time. If I
social secretary.
Yeah, well, we do line-out coach as well.
Line-out, double up on that.
But I think it's got to be. I think probably wouldn't be surprised if it's an O'Gara or Farrell or something like that.
Yeah, I think Andy Farrell for me. I think Warren Gatland, obviously moving back to New Zealand to coach the Waikato Chiefs. I think his idea is he wants to coach New Zealand at some point. I think actually the next New Zealand coach will be Scott Robertson. So, you know, who knows? Gats has got a legacy, and his legacy as the best Lions coach ever is there, whether we win or lose on Saturday. But imagine if we win and we attack. Gregor Townsend has got to be in the mix then. At the minute, you're not talking about Gregor Townsend because our attack's been poor. You fast forward a week and we win and we play attacking rugby, all of a sudden Gregor Townsend is a brilliant coach, and that's how fickle sport is.
But just to give the millions that are watching in the crowd in here, Warren Gatland, he isn't, like in 2009, he wasn't a hands-on coach. He wasn't like, you know, taking every session. He's a very good delegator, letting the other coaches do their work. And I think that somebody like Paul O'Connell coming in, helping to run the line out. It's very specific now. Line out, scrum, you know, back three. You need to be really specific on who you pick.
Of course. And thank you very much for your question, Rory. Good on you, buddy. We've got Ryan Nesbitt. Hell of a name. I don't know why I said hell of a name. You're called Ryan, but I mean the Nesbitt bit. Ryan, how are you, sir? Give us a wave. They are some cool shades. He's got the AirPods in. This is your cup final, sir. What is your question?
Yeah, evening, boys. My question is, did the changes Gatland made after the first test have a positive or negative impact?
Oh, no, he's asking us the questions, mate. He's asking us. That's it, yeah. LJ, we got a question here from the man in the middle who wants to have a question in a minute. Of course he does. What do you think? Test, I can't remember the changes after test one. Stevie, on you, mate. Do you remember you had a baby last week? Not that you would remember.
Yeah, I think in the front row, so Rory Sutherland obviously come off the bench. He started. I think somebody like Rory Sutherland doesn't come off the bench in many games. So you got to make an impact, and somebody like him, it's new to him, and coming in when the momentum completely shifts and he's up against a really good tight head prop, it's tough work. So looking back on it, on reflection, I think Gatland got probably the bench, he got it wrong. Will he get it right this week? Well, I think come 7 o'clock on Saturday night, we'll have the right answer.
Stevie, do you think he's clutching at straws? Because you look at the changes and the combinations, and obviously the build-up to the tour, there's been a couple of team runs on the way up. Do you know what I mean? The players haven't been tested. Let's be frank about it. England didn't play that well in the Six Nations in the lead up to it, so the backbone of his squad that he probably would have picked to start, now it just seems, not that he's clutching at straws, but it's almost like, we're in the third test, let's just try Aki and Henshaw now.
But do you think he's clutching at straws?
Yeah, a little bit, I do. I do think he is a little bit, because you look at the combinations in there. Ken Owens, who's a fantastic player, is obviously starting a hooker this week. Jamie George was his go-to guy. I had Luke Cowan-Dickey down to start. Played okay. Do you know what I mean, in the lead-up? Ken Owens comes on, there's a couple of line-outs gone astray. It's like, all right, well, let's give Ken Owens a start. Wyn Jones is playing. Do you know what I mean? It just feels like...
But 2 weeks ago after the first test, everybody was coming out and saying that this was the best Lions 35-man squad that's ever been picked. Warren Gatland came out and said it was the hardest ever choice of selection that he's ever had to pick, and that these players are playing so well. And then you have one defeat, one bad second half performance, and now you're a shit team. That's just professional rugby at the highest level. So they've got an opportunity in the first 10 or 15 minutes of this game to turn it back on its head.
I think the interesting thing around the selection, the backline that he's picked for this test, is the exactly same backline as that started against Japan in the very first game. So I think that went reasonably well in that first half against Japan so many weeks ago. But it's great to see them all get back together. Josh Adams and Liam Williams are massive selections. If we can get parity in that aerial game, then you add in Bundy Aki and Henshaw in the centres, big physical units that can get us over the gain line. All of a sudden, you've got some ingredients that mean we can compete and put the Springboks under a massive amount of pressure.
He's gone back to where he did it in 13. He goes back to people he knows, doesn't he? He went
no
back
Scots, effectively.
Well, Ali Price.
Yeah, very true. He is.
Probably should have gone Gareth Davis, but but he's gone back to where he knows. But he's also gone back to Bundy Aki, who plays against Deleande in Munster against Connacht, so they know each other pretty well. So there's no massive surprise. I guess I thought Farrell would play 12, but it makes sense that he's gone Bundy Aki. But he's also gone back to guys he trusts, have been there, done it before. Ken's been there, done it. Wyn, not so much, but he's been in the World Cup. And then Liam Williams has done it for the last 10 years. So he's gone back to... And he did it in 13, he did it in 17. It's a bit different picking a massive team to play against Australia than picking a massive team trying to beat South Africa up. So it's a big difference there. So
Jim, just last point, it's also a risk picking Bundy Aki. He got red carded in the Rugby World Cup. He got red carded in the Six Nations. He does tackle very, very high. Deleande coming down his channel. It is a risk, as we see him squatting 295 kgs.
Yeah, no biggie.
He's only gone down to about 80 degrees there. Can't give him that one. But yeah, he's an absolute beast, a powerhouse, a really well-respected fella as well. So, yeah.
Stevie, why would, from one strong man to another, why would you squat that the week of a test? Like, why is he doing that? Like, that's just, look at good, he's laughing, he's out of breath looking at it.
I'm just trying to add it up, to be honest.
Of course.
Well, numbers.
Yeah, well, thanks to everyone from the Wonderwall, our famous Grouse Spirit of Rugby Wonderwall. Give them a round of applause, everyone at home. Isn't it lovely how we can embed virtually and we can be live? We're like live. LJ, you're with two lovely ladies from the Farnham Rugby Club. Well, we're in Farnham, so of course they're here. Farnham Falcons, that's the one.
Farnham Falcons are here with me. I've got Sarah and Abby. Abby is sleeping with the head coach, I've just been told. They're married.
They're married?
It's okay.
Too many details.
Sorry, they're married.
They've both got a question. Miss Coward's on her summer holiday. She's getting loose, so she's going to ask first.
So Andy says it's all about the kicking game. How would you beat that battle?
So what's your tactics?
My tactics? Just kick it as far as you can and then tell everyone to chase it. That's all I ever did. I got paid a shitload of money to do that in my career, and it wasn't very good.
Humbly, if I was playing with you, genuinely, like, would you, against the South Africa defence, would you be hitting me or not, or would you be missing me with the ball?
Mate, Jim, you and I would be nowhere near that sort of level of rugby anymore, or even in our primes.
I reckon in my prime, I reckon I could.
Would I hit you on a skip pass to go through a hole?
Yeah.
Jim, you drop it, so absolutely not.
Okay,
no,
fine. Well, it'd be a scrum. Look, we all love you, Jim. Thank you very much, Mum. Werner Versailles.
In terms of the question, the kicking battle, you look at the accuracy. A lot of it is about the box kicking, and it's the chase. So if you watch the difference between the first test and the second test, that second half of the first test is dominating the airwaves. And it's a lot about the accuracy of kick, but it's also, more importantly, about receiving the kick and putting as much pressure on you as you can. And listen, you know, the South Africans are very good at it. In the first test, they weren't that great, and the British and Irish Lions dominated that zone. It's going to come down to accuracy, and you can put it in the air, get as much hang time as you need to, but you're relying on your boys around you to chase it and get the tap backs and cause havoc, which we didn't do in the second test, but we did in the first.
And just on that, there's Twitter, Squidge Rugby, isn't that right? Squidge?
Yeah.
Squidge Rugby. Look it up. He puts out some analysis every week, and in the kicking game, it's a very good analysis this week, so look it up.
I've got another question over here as well. So I'm loving that we're here with Farnham, who are being patted on the back all the time for their grassroots section, but they've grown 2 women's teams organically themselves over the past few seasons. A round of applause for that, more than anything else. And gents, now that each one of you can boast that you're fathers of daughters, Abby's got a great one for you.
So I wouldn't be representing the women's team if I wasn't here asking this question. As you all have daughters, how do you see them progressing in the rugby world? Would they play the equivalent Lions in years to come?
Oh, it's a great question. It is a great question. It is. Well, I'll start because it is an interesting one. And look, you know, let's get it out there. We're live digitally. We're live, obviously, in a rugby club, and there's a big talk around women in sport, isn't there? There's a big talk around empowering women, and we're all for it. Of course we are. You know, rugby is a tough sport. However you look at it, it's a tough sport whether you're a kid, it's a tough sport whether you're an amateur, whether you're a man, whether you're a world-class player, whether you're a woman, whether you're someone just starting up. It's a tough sport. One to consume, right, and to watch, and to play as well, and the skill set around it. It's a contact sport. Do you know what I mean? It's a contact sport. It's physical. To be the best rugby player at the highest level, it's physical, and it's tough, and it's competitive. But we're not talking about the highest level all the time, are we? We're talking about communities. We're talking about involvement. We're talking about teamship. We're talking about all these things. And like when we chat, and you know, when we chat to our kids and stuff like that, I'm not speaking for you. Rugby is more than necessarily just making it to the highest of the highs, which is obviously nice. I don't know how the hell I did it. Well, I chose Scotland. That's how I did it. But in terms of the women, if you're asking the question, would I get my girls into rugby? I'd get my girls into rugby not necessarily to play rugby at the highest level. I'd get them into rugby because it can give them a sense of belonging. It can give them a sense of teamship. It can give them a sense of, you know, being a part of this. Yeah. Win the crowd, you say. But it is, I don't know, I mean, obviously as a coach as well, it's like, rugby does more in the community than just produce world-class players.
It's the best sport for me for, obviously, all shapes and sizes.
Yes.
You ended up with a double number on your back somehow. I'll never realise that. But I'd love my daughter. She's 10 now. I'd love my daughter to play rugby, but she cannot be asked with it. She can't be asked to who daddy is. I try showing her clips on YouTube. I download Lions games off the TV, and she's like, so you're telling me you were a good player and you just sort of bent over every now and again, pushed, and then walked around the field. And I'm like, but I was very good at walking around the field. So I'd love her to. But if she doesn't want to do it, she likes football. So there's more money in women's football now. So I'll hopefully push her down that route. But I'd love her to play. But I'm not going to force her. But it's such a good sport for, you know, I'm a morbidly obese man. You're, you know,
basically a freak of nature, athlete. Sorry.
And it just allows, and it's so inclusive, and it's such an amazing sport for that. And we do great stuff in Quins with the women's team. You know, we do amazing things, and we're just going to grow and grow and grow the women's game with us, and you know, it's just going to get bigger and bigger. So hopefully in 5-10 years, then the game, you know, it won't be like it is now, where it's just like semi-professional. Hopefully, be professional and pushing where the football is at the moment.
Bob, I can't help but think that maybe you need to be showing your daughter some Jess Breach clips as opposed to clips of you bending over and pushing, and that might be the key there.
Or just type in Jim Hamilton on YouTube and then you'll see how it goes down. Maybe don't. Anyway, humbly, it is great to be at Farnham. Great question, by the way. It could be the question of the night for the vintage bottle of famous grouse. Of course, LJ. So, yeah, Squidge is a legend on there. We're talking about greatness, aren't we? We're joined here by 3 rugby legends and Andy Good. Obviously, this club has produced arguably the greatest of all time, let's be honest, in Johnny Wilkinson. But I've been hanging out at Johnny Wilkinson's house all night. And I couldn't get him, so I rang Ryan. I said, have you got Johnny's number? He said, I have, but he ain't answering me calls, so can I join you tonight? Ryan Wilson, how are you, sir? Give him a round of applause. Ryan, how's things, mate? Firstly, loving the lid.
Getting there, eh? It's getting there, Jimbo.
What do you mean getting there? What's it meant to be?
Mate, I'm going as low as I can. Fucking hell, I can't work this out. I've got 2 screens here and they're bouncing all over the place. But no, I'm going as low as I can, then cut it off. Got a baby coming tomorrow, so the missus is desperate for me to cut it.
Oh, of course. Well, congratulations and good luck. As you know, I've got 4, you've got 3, and yeah, basically, good luck. I don't want to say well done, we'll just say good luck. Ryan, I'm walking around your club down here, which is just north of the Hebrides as well, the Scotland Heartbeat. Of course it is, and the amount of lads in here, I'll be like, some of them aren't in the best of nick, and they're wearing loafers, boat shoes, but even though we don't live anywhere near the sea, and they're saying to me, Ryan Wilson, 50 caps for Scotland. They said if they were Scottish, they'd have 100. I mean, what are your feelings of Farnham Rugby Club and the kind of foundation that it gave you, mate? Because I know, obviously, you are proud. We've spoken about it. You know, you're not one to put on a Scottish accent like my good self when you get over the border. You know what I mean? You do love your roots, and you've spoken like we obviously over a Chinese. We were chatting about our Grassroots club, and you speak highly of Farnham.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it gave me pretty much what I've got today. So I grew up there, down there with the old man. Basically, it was a way from old man to get down the pub a bit more. So he was down the old clubhouse, just getting steaming. Never watched any rugby, and that's how I got into rugby. So no, I owe a lot to that club, and those 50 caps. Every one of them meant something to me, but obviously meant something to that club. And yeah, there it is. They should have called it Wilson Way. They called it Wilkinson Way. They got that bit mixed up. But what can you do?
Yeah, they did off the back of it. Ryan, how was it making your 50th cap for Scotland? I know it is a milestone. I mean, I was aiming for 100, only got to 63. Arguably, people say that I stole most of them. But to get, you were stuck on 49 for a while, weren't you? You had that kerfuffle with George Ford and Owen Farrell, basically the whole England team in the tunnel before that famous victory. And that kind of seemed to be the end of it. But you got your 50th. How did that feel? How proud are you to have made that milestone?
Jim, just to start, you would have gone on for 100 had you not killed that rabbit up the hills in France, mate, with Vern Carr. 100%. But, it was amazing. It all came about pretty weird one. I had to get a couple of Tongans to sort out some other people in my position that day. We went and trained against Scotland, but ended up getting 50 and beating France over the first time in 20 years. You get a lot of milestones with Scotland, eh? They don't do stuff that often, so when we went over there and beat France for the first time in a while, it was a good piss up, that was for sure.
Nice. Ryan Goody here. Just going back to that fight between yourself and Owen Farrell and George Ford, is it true that Owen Farrell just told you weren't good enough to play for England, and that's what kicked it all off?
No, sadly not, Goody. He wouldn't have said that to me. He knows what he's dealing with. No, I went for George Ford down the tunnel just because he's the smallest bloke.
Good answer.
Smallest bloke going.
Ryan, we got a question from the crowd. They're loving it. LJ, have you there? Have we got you? No, not yet. No, we're going to go. Okay, Ryan, then we're going to come back to you.
I was going to say, has anyone that plays for Scotland got a Scottish accent anymore? I'm just trying to work this out.
Yeah, this is it.
Because there's 2 of supposedly the best who have ever done it for Scotland, both speaking in a harsh English accent.
No, this is what we do. We're like chameleons. Do you know what I mean? We're multilingual. We come here, we deliver to the masses. In Scotland, Ryan has got one of the best Scottish accents. What is it, Ryan? Give us something.
I'll tell you what, Jimbo. See you when I'm back up in Glasgow, big man. I'm talking like
that. LJ, what have you got?
I'm with David, who is going to tell me a story about Ryan Wilson getting red carded for Farnham.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, that's...
And that's all I need to say. Over to you, Ryan.
No, I do need some more detail than that, David. It sounds like you've told a lie now just to get on camera. So what happened?
No, it's just all I heard from Ryan was, oh, for fuck's sake. So his red card playing for Farnham, I think Ryan can take the story away.
So Ryan's going to have to tell us what happened.
So
David's very cagey.
He's heard that somewhere. Oh, no, all that was I think I was underage playing for the first team back then, and my boot collided with someone's head, and I ended up in a hearing with Adam Christie up in Wimbledon somewhere, and he was like, shit, what are we going to do? You weren't even meant to be playing at that age. So I think I was 16 playing for the first team, maybe.
Of course, Ryan. Well, I heard that your dad bought you a caravan off the back of doing that, and he was very, very happy. Ryan, mate, love to the family. Good luck with the baby, and I mean good luck. 3 to 4, it ain't pretty. That's all I'm saying. So give Ryan Wilson, as you know, a round of applause. And just to say that Ryan Wilson is doing the offload podcast for RugbyPass. He's doing a brilliant job. He's obviously absolutely hilarious. You think I've got a story, he's got 10, is all I'm saying. Right, we're going to play a little game. Stevie, we missed you last week, so I think LJ is going to grab you as the dice comes into the middle, just because you've got a little forfeit. Okay, LJ, where are you? Bringing him? So I think, yeah, okay, Stevie Ferris is off. So basically we've got a bit of a dice game because it's lads, 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 banter, banter, banter. No, you're off with LJ. Yeah, you've got a little bit of a forfeit. Okay, so as Stevie goes off, we've got a bit of a confession. Well, I'm hoping we're going to get a confession. So, LJ, okay, just as you do that quietly in the background, Adam.
Jim.
Right, so we're going to play the dice game. There's going to be some forfeits off the back of it. Now, I was thinking about how we're going to do this forfeit game, but I heard as I came in, oh, Adam Jones is coming, is he? Adam Jones. What, as in Harlequins, Welsh, British and Irish Lion legend, Adam Jones? I said, yeah. They said, ask him about the Christmas party when all the Quins guys trashed the joint. I was like, what happened? I said, that springboarded their season to win the Premiership. Did you have a Christmas party here, or can you not remember it? Is this all lies?
Well, with the players? We're in COVID, so no, there's no Christmas.
Yeah, no, Christmas before, a couple of Christmases ago. Am I just hearing...
I think you're hearing wrong thing.
Oh, am I? Okay, yeah. Right. Anyway.
Sorry, apologies. No.
Have you been here before, yes or no?
This club?
Yeah, you've been to Farnham before.
None of the
Look at him, look. Yeah, no, Your Honour.
Deny, reaccuse
someone else. Yeah, apparently you're here and trashed the joint. So
I was done, but I was coaching.
Of course. And can we just talk about your attire, just as Stevie Ferris gets dressed up? What's your attire tonight? It's casual.
You told me to wear what I wanted.
I did. On the way. Very comfortable.
Yeah.
So, Adam, we've not had you yet, so we're going to play the dice game. Round of applause, Stevie. Banter, eh?
Oh, lads.
What's that? Okay, cool. You're not doing... Stevie wanted to do a press-up competition against Goody. We'll do that later.
No, we're not. Stevie, can I have my nappy back afterwards as well, please?
Have you been wearing a nappy with your gastric band?
Yeah, carry on.
How is it? How's it been? Right, so we're going to play the dice game. We've got some forfeits here. So Jim pins a tweet. Fancy dress number 2. Yeah, juicy anecdotes of what went on tour. Sing your test debut invitation song. Mine was Vanilla Ice. It went down a storm. Budgie Smugglers. Adam Jones, Andy Good. You're going to love wearing these if you roll the dice. And the push-up challenge. So, roll the dice. Okay, you're not doing it. No, Lois will roll the dice. 2. Okay, can we have the dice back here, please? All right. All right. My goodness me. Please be yeah! 1. Okay, Goody, you roll. Yes! Stevie, you can roll again. Is there beer in that bottle? Yeah, that looks about right. About safe. Oh, it's a 2. Goody, you roll again.
You go first.
Okay, well, I can't bend that. Watch out. You go. Oh, pardon you. Right, here we go. Oh!
Yes! That's a 1. Please.
I've got a bead on a Goody.
Yes!
4. All right, I'll roll it then, no problem. Wait there. Oh, 1. Jim pins a tweet. No, let's roll again. Let's do something good, eh? Yeah, pass that over. It best be good.
What does that mean? What does pins a tweet mean? What does that mean?
You know what? You don't know what pin a tweet... You've not bloody lived. You don't know what pin a tweet is? We're Budgie Smugglers for the rest of the show. Right, well, we can carry on. If you can organise that, I'll put them on in a minute. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll put them on in a minute. Let me just get the next question up, and then I can put them on as we do that. Rupert, where are we, mate?
Let's just make sure we go full bush out and squirrel out as well, please. That'd be really nice.
Adam, let's just, not some mad tour stories, but obviously the game is uber professional now. So, 2009 Lions tour, 2013. I know it is always the one, we want war stories, we want tour stories. But it's like, you know, it's very different now. How hard is it to manage that, going out and having 1 or 25 drinks, the whole social media thing, to where the game is now, where you've got test matches week on week? I know they're obviously in COVID. I mean, you're a man who obviously likes to be on tour. How much did you enjoy that part of it?
like, it was obviously in 2009. It was hard because, you know, in South Africa, everyone knows who you are, and this rugby and rugby. But I will say it was. I got in with a group with Simon Shaw and Phil Vickery, and I thought they kind of. I think the tour of that tour was Andy Powell's tour, as in. Is he not taking his jeans off?
I'll tell you now.
Who wants?
I will do.
Get them off. Who thinks Jim should take his jeans off?
Have you? Hang on.
Jim,
Get them
I'll
off.
take over for a minute. You get your jeans off.
Have you got an extra small?
Jeans off.
All right, let me go around the back.
Off.
Okay.
Jeans. Right,
I'll be
while
back.
Jim does that, I've got a question from
Go on.
Mathilde. Guys. Jacko, enough. Mathilde is one of the French guests here in the audience this evening, so it's great to see somebody with a bit more buy-in to the Lions outside of Britain and Ireland. But you have got a question that fits in with that theme.
Yeah, so if you could pick one player to play for the Lions that isn't eligible, who would it be and why?
Bonsoir. Comment ça va?
Sorry?
Je parle un peu de français, mais c'est bon.
Très bien.
Le joueur qui je veux jouer pour les... Oh, no, I'll talk English, shall I? Yeah. What is the player that's not eligible for the Lions that you'd want to play? Right now, the way we need to play, Dupont. So Anton Dupont, the French scrum half, the energy that he's probably one of the best in the world at the minute, across the board in any position. We need Ali Price to play in the way that he plays at the weekend. So I'd love to see his energy, his sort of performance come out of Ali Price this weekend. I'd love to see Dupont or someone of his stature play for the Lions that wasn't available. What about you boys?
Yeah, I'd go for Bowden Barrett. I know he's on the bench this weekend, but I think we need a running 10 that's a threat, and Bowden Barrett is an unbelievable rugby player.
I'm here, mate. Running 10 that's a threat. Tick, tick, cross.
Bum.
Jonesy?
Does it have to be now? Now?
No, it can be anyone. Anyone, anytime.
Ever.
Oh, here he is.
Actually, all right, aren't they? I know. Look at them.
Hung like a
So
squirrel.
to my kids, I'm sorry.
Big Jim is hung like a squirrel.
I'll be honest, I need an extra small. I need an extra small. I know what you're
Jim
thinking.
is hung like a squirrel.
He's got a banana down there.
I know. Gosh.
Jim.
Get the shirt off, seriously. Seriously, I will get the shirt off. And look, Stevie.
Tops
Stevie,
off.
the shirt ain't going off.
Oh, get the shirt off.
Tops off.
The kids are watching.
Tops off.
I'll take the shirt off at the end, No chance. Stevie, you sing your song. Stevie, you sing your song, your initiation song, and I'll take the shirt off at the end just to see. My wife's watching at home with the kids. Yes, I know I told you that I've got a six-pack and we keep the lights off. You will see I haven't, and I'm sorry. Stevie, initiation songs, where are we? I lost throughout the show. Where are we?
Jim, I always go back to an Irish favourite. So low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. Low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Hey, baby, let the free birds fly. Our love is on the wing, on the wing. We had dreams and songs to sing, It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. Thank you.
Very good. Very different to my Vanilla Ice Baby. Imagine how that went down on the Scotland bus after we absolutely hammered Romania. Let's have a look. Let's get back into the rugby. And let's have a look at the head-to-heads. My darling wife at home, I am sorry, but my quads look big and my belly doesn't. Right, head-to-heads, let's have a look. The all-important thing, looking into this third test match, we obviously want to win. I have gone for the great and powerful Alan Wynne-Jones and Lou Diaga as well. We will see them pop up on screen. Big thanks to Rugby Analytics as well for producing the stats. Now, these stats don't really show the picture, do they? Because obviously Lud came off the bench to play Alan Wynne-Jones. But like you mentioned as well, the maul is going to be huge. The weight in the scrum. Lud de Jager's obviously at Sale now. He's a fantastic scrummager, a fantastic mauler. We are getting to the dark arts of the games, ladies and gentlemen. It isn't... I'd love to be sat here and we're talking about Cheslin Colby up against Josh Adams. That's not what it might win the game. It'd be great to see some tries, but that part of the game with them two is going to be my head-to-head. Obviously, Alan Wynne-Jones, Ebenezer, I've gone for them for the past 2 weeks. Adam, Bongi, Umbanambi versus the Sheriff. You know very well. They're your head-to-heads, aren't they?
Yes. I did say earlier about Bongi. I think he's the best scrummaging hooker, and if we can deal with him, if Ken can deal with him, we'll win the game. Because Malherb's average at the moment. Koichov's, he's good, but this kid he's only 5'8", and he's about 110 kilos, but he's an unbelievable scrummager. And if Ken can deal with him, then we'll win the test. We'll win, I promise you.
Is Ken big enough or not? I know that sounds a stupid thing to say, right? And again, just, for the layman, right, we're looking at it. We're looking at the size of the South African pack. When we're doing these head-to-heads, Lud de Jager versus Alan Wynne-Jones, Lud de Jager is much bigger than him. Do you know what I mean? The Sheriff, he's obviously fantastic.
He's taller than him. He's taller than him.
He's tall, yeah, he is. I mean...
Yeah, he's not... Like, Ken would be about 110 kilos. Bongi's probably about 112, 13. And it's not mad, but he's full of muscle, and that's the thing. And he's such a technically good scrummager. Like, Ken looks lovely there. But if Bongi goes after his left shoulder, then he could cause problems. But
I'm convinced.
Jeez, I'd love to be 110 kilos. That'd be nice to get down to that weight, wouldn't it?
Well, Andrew, we need to be quick through yours. I'm struggling. I'm thinking you're going to be out of breath by the time you talk about it. But your head-to-head is Delande and Bundyaki.
Yeah, and listen, Bundyaki comes in to give us a focal point in attack, the physicality. He can get us through that defensive line and get some post-contact meters that hopefully get us on the front foot and give us some momentum. Delande, the only time the Boks really go outside of the driving maul or the kicking game is they ship Delande up the middle, down Bigger's channel, and that's how they get over the gain line, get the Lions retreating in defence, and then continue their momentum gain. So it's a massive heads up from these two, and hopefully Bundyaki with 250 kilos on the squat is going to get us through the contact and get us some momentum this weekend.
Stevie, you're looking at the bench, you're looking at the fly halves, Finn Russell coming on against the nemesis, Mornay Stain as well. How do you see this unfolding? Can it be, has Mornay Stain got it in him? Can Finn Russell come on and be the maverick that we think he is?
Yeah, the bench won the first game for the Lions, and then it won the second game for South Africa. I played against Mornay Stain at under-21s. Ruan Pinar was scrum half. Mornay Stain was out half, and he was just unbelievable, and he's just kept going. I think he's somebody that you can bring off the bench and know that he's going to kick that winning penalty, and that's why I'm surprised that Owen Farrell isn't on the bench for the British and Irish Lions, because Finn Russell, I'm not sure, his kicking accuracy off the tee wouldn't be the world's best, but you can certainly rely on Mornay Stain for that. It's intriguing because these are two completely different players. Mornay Stain showed in the first test that he just kicks the ball and hopes that there are other guys around him can make his tackles. And Finn Russell, he can pull a rabbit out of his hat. Chip kicks. I know I've said it before many a time. That's all well and good doing that in the top 14. But when it comes to international test match rugby at the highest level, you got to be so accurate, or it can cost you 5-7 points off the back of it. So for me, the bench yet again is going to be the winning factor in this match.
Well, when I was in Paris with Finn Russell, he pulled a rabbit out of the glove box of the white Lamborghini. I'm telling you now. So let's hope he can do that, genuinely. LJ, before we go into our predictions and we wrap it up, we're going to come to you with the question of the night to win the vintage bottle of Famous Grouse and a British and Irish Lions jersey that I haven't touched, good, but Adam Jones and Stephen Ferris have. Who are you giving it to?
Well, I think in honour of the arrival of Courtney Ferris this week, we have to give it to Abby after a wonderful question about your girls all getting into rugby.
Thank you very much.
Of course, big round of applause. Drink responsibly. I don't know if you've drank whiskey, but it is an acquired taste, but it's a lovely drop. I should say that. Of course, yes, you will help us, sir. Thank you. Bomber, let's go to predictions then. I know it's easy to sit here and say who we think, whatever. So I want predictions, and also I want your thoughts that if it is a draw, which some people have predicted, whether or not we should just throw it all out there and just say, right, golden goal or whatever you call it, or extra time till someone wins.
I think we're going to win by 3 points, probably like 21-18-ish.
Hand on heart, you believe that we'll win?
Yes.
Okay, sir. I like that. I'll run through a wall for you. That's all I'm saying. Goody?
Yeah, I mean, coming into tonight, until I listened to Adam Jones, I was convinced the Springboks were going to win by 6 points. Now listening to Adam Jones, I'm going to say the Springboks are going to win by 3 points. So the margin got smaller. But listen, I do believe we can win it. My heart wants the British and Irish Lions to win. My head's just saying that second half last week of what the Springboks did to us, and they're a risk-adverse team, aren't they? So I think that they're just going to try and control the pace of the game again. They'll have too much physicality for us, unless Finn comes on and wins it for us in the dying embers.
Yeah, Steve, can you see it being a draw? I never call you Steve, it's so regal. Fez, Stevie.
Steve.
Can you see it being a draw? Please don't say it. Please, imagine what an anticlimax it would be if we saw a draw. But you can see it,
But Warren Gatland's talked about it. Warren's actually said today that he wants it to go to extra time. And it needs the agreement from World Rugby, from the Springboks as well, if it's a draw.
And can it? Have they said that or not?
I think they're trying to get to a point, and it needs the Springboks to agree it and World Rugby. I'm sure they can try. It's just whether World Rugby are probably on their holidays somewhere, because they took about 3 weeks to punish Rassie Erasmus as well, didn't they? So
well, they'll be watching this. So anyone from World Rugby, I mean, we are credible media, as you can see. Big thank you to Budgie Smuggler. Actually, I know exactly. I wish it was. Yeah.
It's a pip. It's not an overview.
Stevie, seriously though, if there's a draw, obviously, let's put a bit of pressure on them. Do you know what I mean? Because we don't want to see a draw, do we? We saw that in 2017. And it wasn't anticlimax. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But having seen what we've seen this tour, it would be not a disaster is the wrong way. We don't want to go too extreme. We don't want to see a draw, do we?
No, we don't want to see a draw. But like, it doesn't matter what level you play at. You learn from your mistakes, and the British and Irish Lions are going to learn a lot from last week. I don't think they're going to get manhandled in the scrum. I don't think they're going to get mauled off the pitch. I think it's going to be extremely tight. I've got the first 2 weeks wrong. I went for South Africa in the first test. I went for the Lions last week. So I'm going to go for South Africa again this week. So that the Lions win. So that's the way I'm going to go for it. And hopefully I'm proven wrong yet again, Jim.
Well, I'm such a turncoat, Bomber, because you're taking me on the next tour as social line-out secretary. I'm going to go for the Lions. I don't know. Look at Goody looking at me like you're a turncoat, aren't you? Ladies and gentlemen, everyone at home, thank you. That's us, RugbyPass Fanzone Live. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We want to give a few thank yous to London Welsh Rugby Club. We were there in week 1. To Harpenden Rugby Club week 2. Obviously to everyone here at Farnham, the production team, First 5 Media. But from RugbyPass, obviously it's been a tough 18 months, ladies and gentlemen. But we're out the house, we're drinking beer, we're sat in pants. You know what I mean? Absolutely ridiculous. But we're all here to support the British and Irish Lions. Here's hoping a test victory, a series victory at the weekend. All of us from RugbyPass, big thank you. Thank you very much.
He said, just don't take your shirt off again on the field because you won't get picked.
And have you got a number from Goody for the hair transplant yet?
Always got a headset. We'll definitely be able to hear you. He's a gamer.
There's a picture of Andy Powell, and he is absolutely, completely orange-like. You know, he's even worse than LJ at the minute, like. So,
in a good way. Fair play to you, Goody, yeah. Kidney stones basically means that the gastric band is untied, so...
Curtains do not match the carpets, Andy. Wow.
LJ, it looks like they could be yours.
23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 20... Welcome everyone to RugbyPass Fanzone Live. Yeah. Go back. Kidney stone, or did they tie the gastric band back up?
Both. I think they did both.
Be honest with me, because
I hope they did both.
It's very hypocritical of me to say he's out of shape, but he's out of shape.
If we pay for your travel and your beers for the entire weekend, do you fancy propping for us on Friday night?
Was that the baby boy or girl that was going to be born is going to be called Courtney? Is that right? I'm right in saying?
Shout outs and all the support for Dan. So here's some cakes for you. So I'm going to keep.
Mate, that's the last thing you need.
I know, but
we had dreams and songs to sing, It's so lonely round the fields of Athlone Rye.
Unlike us.
So to my kids, I'm sorry.
Big Jim is hung like a squirrel.
I'll be honest, I need an extra small. I need an extra small. I know what you're
Big Jim
thinking.
is hung like a
He's got a banana down there.